Jayne Earl will be joining us soon. I'll just tweet it out. Let me put my YouTube link in there too. How you guys doing? I have a few stories we're gonna run today. Plenty to talk about. Let's copy that. I'm just tweeting it out. How you guys doing? Tweet that. What's going on? Fam. We're going to talk about the Afghanistan war as well. We are a media empire that talks about foreign policy. That's what I want to do. So I don't know why it's even a debate whether we should be in the Afghanistan war or not. And it's kind of crazy how the resistance to Donald Trump is coming from a pro-war point of view and keeping us in the Afghanistan war. So we're gonna touch base on that. Talk about Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. They still have the same age of leadership installed right now. It's kind of crazy. Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Jim Clyburn, Mitch McConnell. In the year 2020, with these crazy challenges that we have right now, everything that's going on, we stuck with these same dinosaurs, and we cannot break out of their leadership. And I don't know how we really stop that. Like, we got Cori Bush, who I'm really excited about now, but the point that a lot of people make is we only have a few people. So let's see. Let me go about the stream. You guys can ask me anything. What's going on with you guys? I can get ready my first story ready. Nancy Pelosi elected Speaker House again. How's the stream, guys? Is it running okay? Yeah, I mean, the Afghanistan war, it does not justify itself at all. Actually, that's a clip I want to pull up, because Tammy Duckworth was coming out saying that we should stay in the Afghanistan war. It's crazy. Let me pull that up. See what? Yeah, this is Tammy Duckworth. She's an Iraq War veteran, and I'm gonna explain why this is bullshit. Let's see how I can this work. There we go. See, this is Tammy Duckworth here.
Spoken up and say this is the wrong thing to do. All of the military commanders have spoken up and said this is the wrong thing to do. We want our troops home, but let's not bring them home in body bags. And that's potentially what's going to happen if this president gets his way and puts his own political timeline ahead of our national security.
Like, what timeline is she referring to? Because she says Donald Trump is trying to do this for political gain. Let's play that again.
All of the military commanders have spoken up and said this is the wrong thing to do.
The military commanders have no idea what they are doing. Do you guys understand that? I was tweeting that out earlier today. I was explaining how the Afghanistan war was a fraud. It was largely reported that a lot of the military commanders and generals and people in the war was lying. Thank you for the follow, NC Playboy. I appreciate it. But let me go on, because she's talking about how the military commanders are largely against them pulling out, and I can show you why here soon.
We want our troops home, but let's not bring them home in body bags.
So you bring them home in body bags by leaving war? How does that make sense?
And that's potentially what's going to happen if this president gets his way and puts his own political timeline ahead of our national security.
That makes no sense. Fabstar, thank you for the follow. And let me explain why. Let me go why. I just tweeted out not too long ago. This story came out, I think it was last year, 2 years ago. It was reported in the Washington Post. Like, this is not like a conspiracy or anything. Pretty much in a nutshell, the media uncovered, it was a giant investigation. Let's take a look at this. Like, I'm saying, like, why is this even a debate? A confidential trove of government documents obtained by the Washington Post revealed that senior U.S. officials failed to tell the truth about the war in Afghanistan throughout the 18-year campaign, making the rousing pronouncements they knew to be false and hiding unmistakable evidence the war has been unwinnable. So, going back to the Tammy Duckworth clip, she said the U.S. officials are against Trump withdrawing from Afghanistan. Now it's clear why they are against that. If you understand how our permanent state operates, and it's funny how the liberal class, they always pretend that you are some sort of conspiracy theorist just because you bring up the permanent state, the deep state. But honestly, it's the revolving door that happens when people, they work in the military, they retire from the military, they work in the highest levels of war profiteering, they retire, and then they get hired in a weapons manufacturer as a weapon defense contractor. They go into public service and public office as well. And this is what you see going on right now. You see, and Pelosi, like, yeah, she is a warmonger. Like, she's a war criminal, just like them. She complicit with torture. LJL. How's the stream, everyone? How you guys doing? I got some people in the chat now. You guys are free to ask me questions. I have a few stories I'm gonna run by right now. I'm talking. About rip on Nancy Pelosi, but I want to talk about the Afghanistan war too. I mean, it's more the same because when Joe Biden gets in charge, they're gonna continue the wars. Thank you guys for watching. Like, I'll be streaming here every day, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Now I got my new setup. How you doing, Lucy? How you doing? I have my friend Katie Jayne. She gonna jump on? The question. Yeah, I see it, Leslie. How do we get other parties on the stage for the next presidential election? That's a good question, Leslie. My number one focus has been on trying to push ranked choice voting, because ranked choice voting is the number one path that third parties have. If you looked at this, if you look at this election that we had, anyone who followed my Twitter and followed my YouTube know that I was an advocate of voting for third party. I mean, there are some criticisms that you can lay on Howie Hawkins and the Green Party, but at the end of the day, we have to destroy the two-party duopoly, because the two-party duopoly is complicit in many things that I oppose, like the war machine. They all backed up by Big Pharma. Jim Clyburn, he was once again elected a majority whip, and he got that position because he funded by Big Pharma over $1 million throughout his career. And Nancy Pelosi is classically known as bought and paid for. That's how you become powerful. You say Breon said, "You saw what the War Machine did to Tulsi Gabbard's campaign." Yep, that's exactly what you do. What if you go against the War Machine? They go after you. That's And Nancy Pelosi in the Democratic Party, Joe Biden, he's already signaling that he's going to be a war hawk already. He came off. He sent out a tweet that was pretty much like, "Yeah, the United States is back in the game. We back in the game, baby." And it's funny because Sunrise just had a tweet they put out. I'm gonna get back to the Afghan war. I'm gonna do my official segment on that here soon. You guys asked me, because this is the culture of low expectations that is granted on the Democratic Party. Let's get to Nancy Pelosi as well. Nancy Pelosi lost Democratic Party House seats. At the end of the day, no matter how you try to spin it, that's her responsibility. And the establishment, they blame the left, even though left ideas are popular. If you look at the policies and the exit polling, if you look at the popularity of the squad, and you see how these dinosaurs are losing in these swing states, all the Medicare for all candidates, they won their elections, like Katie Porter, for example. So the first thing they did after the election was to wage a war against the left. And I'm here to remind you guys that Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden, they actually heard Democrats down ballot, right? How you guys feel about that in the chat? I'm gonna ask you guys. You guys agree with that? Because your job is to win elections against Republicans. That's what you're supposed to do. That's why you get paid the big bucks, right? And at the end of the day, Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, they lost over 1,000 seats during their time going against Mitch McConnell in the Republican machine. And you can say the game is rigged all you want. So I'm gonna let them know. I want to see if anyone. I want to get some people that can disagree with me in here. I want to put Nancy Pelosi, her Democrats down ballot. I got advertised, explained. Nancy Pelosi, her Democrats down ballot. I'm gonna put a tush link in there. Yeah, I'm gonna explain exactly why. Cause I can go to that segment right now, because I'm not gonna stand for that talking point. Yeah, you said 100% agree. Thank you. Awesome. Defund police hurt Democrats. I want to. We can have a mini debate on that. My thing with defund the police is Cori Bush won on defund the police. And now the counter argument for that is, oh, Cori Bush, she ran in a deep blue area. I mean, Missouri, we are a red state, but St. Louis and Kansas City, my areas they are deep blue areas. And she won her election, and she dethroned a political dynasty run on that idea. So they would say, well, defund the police is safe in deep blue areas. So my response to that is, okay, then run on that in deep blue areas. Because local government... Yeah, I'm going to do a segment on Cori Bush as well. She is the real deal. She is the closest to me politically out of anyone in elected public service by far. But politics is all about local, baby. And if you are elected official and you are in a deep blue area that defund the police can win on, you better fucking run on it. Why not? And then if you in swing districts, you can't say defund the police is going to hurt you, because all the candidates that supported Medicare for all, they won their swing districts. Hockey Luke said, I might fuck around and run for Kansas House. Dude, I'll support you. What district is that? I'm in Kansas City. I live on the Missouri side, but I'm like right next to Kansas. I'm in District Missouri 5. If I ever ran, it'd be against Cleaver. Hockey, I'm putting you on the spot, bro. 91. Yeah, bro, we pretty close. Wichita, that ain't that far, bro. Like I want to build a grassroots uh, organization in my local area. I've been in conversation with Kansas City Sunrise. I know a lot of people from that organization. We hella cool. I got good friends from KC Tenants, and I just want to get everyone in this local area make it progressive locally. You better run so we can donate to your campaign. Hell yeah, all y'all. I want everyone to run. Everyone need to run. Fuck, we need to throw in the oligarchy, man. No matter what, and whether you even have to run as if you're in a deep red district, run as a Republican. I had my boy Phelan on. He's in a deep red state in Utah, and Republicans win. He said he run on the Republican ticket, and he will explain everything from a libertarian socialist idea, Medicare for all. You can explain that in terms of fiscal responsibility. So if you're in that district, do we have to do there? If you're in deep blue districts, like I am, I got my own strategies if I ever had to run, right? Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. Hockey Luke said we had a Republican socialist in our Senate primary. Bro, the Overton window is shifting. Overton window is shifting indeed. Now, so that's always been my argument from day one, was when you have Nancy Pelosi and you have, hey, Sienna, how you doing? Hey, Katie, what's up? What is going on? Just doing some chat right now. But Nancy Pelosi is one. Good afternoon, guys. I tell you, I'm kind of just melting down about the fact that we got the same leadership installed. Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Mitch McConnell. 2020. Like, this proves that we are in a corporate fascist state. Period. There is no democracy in this country. That's what I can talk about right now. Because the showing between Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and the Democratic Party have been so poor that they're starting to lose support. I mean, these people are not going to actually oppose Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, but the cracks are starting to form. See, look, check this out. Democrats vent to Schumer over Senate's majority failure. So this tweet is very interesting because they literally are talking about how, like, we keep losing to Mitch McConnell and the Republicans. The problem with this article and the problem with these milquetoast neoliberals is this part right here. We're in no way to a point where we're going to be telling Chuck what to do. You see this part? So they're kind of faking their opposition to Chuck Schumer, aren't they? You know what I'm saying? So here, he's like, man, Chuck Schumer, you suck. You costing us House seats, but at the end of the day, we're not gonna do anything. The most interesting thing about that article, I want to see if I can pull up my tweet about that, because they kind of buried it down in the article, but there's people that was very upset that the Democratic Senate campaign committee, and that is led by Chuck Schumer. He's in charge of that. And they were saying, why are you guys backing these shitty candidates that keep losing? And this is the part of the article they kind of buried, but I'm actually kind of shocked they reported it. That shows that Booker, his star, he's going to be a rising star. I hope the Democratic Party doesn't get to him, man. But I try to be positive on people, man. I don't want to throw him down. I don't want to knock him down. But I don't want him to be like influenced by the Democratic Party too much, because I'm already getting worried about Jamal Bowman a little bit because his stance on Israel Palestine. But I feel like we can push him left though. So this is the part that I found super funny, guys. There was a discussion about the DSCC endorsing candidates in primaries and not always getting it right and suppressing a legitimate battle that might have strengthened our hand in some way, said the Democratic senator. The question is, what Democratic senator are they talking about here? You know what I mean? I'm going to let them know that I'm talking about this on stream here. See, that's the article I got it from. I'm allowed to advertise, right? That's what I'm going to do. Live talking about Amy McGrath failure. So you guys saw me do that live. Try to get some more people in here. I appreciate you guys watching, but this is what we got from this. So I wonder who that Democratic senator was. There was a discussion about DSCC endorsing candidates in primaries and not always getting it right and suppressing a legitimate battle that might have strengthened our hand in some way, said the Democratic senator. I was saying, like, man, I hope that was Bernie Sanders, but then my friend Marie was like, no, that's he'll be called the independent senator. So I wanted to believe that was Bernie. In particular, there are some second guessing of the DSCC's decision to back Amy McGrath, a former Marine Corps fighter pilot, in the Kentucky primary battle over Charles Booker. Look what they admitted. Wow. Over Charles Booker and the state rep there. And they even called out Chuck Schumer here, because I said this on my Twitter, talking shit, because I said, because there was a story that came out a long time ago that showed that Chuck Schumer personally recruited Amy McGrath for that race, and that's how she was able to have this massive network of campaign organizing and donation. It was because of Chuck Schumer and his influence. And I mean, I was talking shit, and I said Chuck Schumer did that as a favor for his boy Mitch McConnell, because they good friends, and Mitch McConnell helps out the Democratic Senate. Yeah, Booker was a real threat to McConnell. That's what Katie said. Because someone pointed out, he said I heard people say they think Charles Booker would have lost to Mitch McConnell, which is possible as things is right now. But can you imagine a possibility where Democratic Party invested in Charles Booker the way they invested into Amy McGrath? Because you gotta realize the Democratic Party literally outspent Charles Booker 10-1 because the way they invested in Amy McGrath over Charles Booker. So even with a 10-1 money disadvantage, Booker still made that a competitive Senate primary race, and that was a sign that Amy McGrath was a weak candidate. So can you imagine if you had Booker, who was funded the same way that Amy McGrath was funded? From the very beginning, he could have had a massive exposure. He could have won over that same white liberal class that Amy McGrath had on her team. And he could have galvanized the disenfranchised voters in Louisville, in the black community, and the working class. He was a threat to McConnell, and they crushed him. They understand that because their goal is to stop the left and lose elections. That's why Nancy Pelosi is the House Speaker. She fundraised. She made hella money. She raised a lot of money for the Democratic Party. And she do a good job crushing the left and losing to Republicans. Because she lost over 1,000 seats in her time over Obama. She lost House seats against a clown president. Donald Trump is a clown. Democrats should have won this election by a landslide. Right? And they were projected to win by a landslide. But they was hurt down ballot because Nancy Pelosi, because Kamala Harris, they hurt them down ballot in the story because they assume they said in the very beginning, and this is why I don't like Jim Clyburn. I'll get to y'all questions in a second. So, because Clyburn, in the lead up to Super Tuesday, he said Bernie Sanders can't be the nominee for the Democratic Party because he was hurt as down ballot. I think RJ just hopped on. So RJ, I don't know how long you've been there. I have no idea.
For a while, I didn't know when to jump in or not. You were kind of just talking, so.
Oh yeah, all right. Let me put you in here. You got your camera? Or are you chilling?
Yeah, I got a camera. Yeah, so I like what you heard about Charles Booker. Honestly, like we all know that the only black senators are allowed are the corporate types, like Barack Obama. Who's the dude from South Carolina? I forgot his name. Kamala Harris.
You talking about Jamie Harrison?
Oh, not him. The other one.
Clyburn?
The Republican from South Carolina, Senator.
Lindsey Graham?
No, he's.
You talking about? There you go.
I'm back.
It's all good. It's all good.
Forgot his name. But there's really only 3 black senators right now. There's Kamala Harris, there's Cory Booker from New Jersey. Kamala, of course, is from California. You have
Tom Scott.
Tim Scott.
Yeah, that was what I'm saying in the chat here.
Yeah, from
But you
South
saw
Carolina.
Clyburn is the House Majority Whip again. He got
course.
he gave his speech and it was literally the worst shit I ever heard in my life. I wasn't gonna find a replay. It was on Nancy Pelosi stream, man. I don't know how I got it up. I don't remember how I found it. I never been following on Twitter, but I saw it. I was just watching out of morbid curiosity, and he was giving his speech, and he was like, "We gotta reach across the aisle." I was like, "Oh no, here we go, the bipartisan bullshit." He like, "We gotta reach across the aisle," and he already started saying, and that's the direction they already said they're gonna work in. Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell got a history of doing this. And I'm very worried. Go ahead.
There's one angle we have to worry about too. Is that have you seen any of our so-called progressive heroes in Congress actually talk about what they've extracted from Nancy Pelosi by voting for her? Everyone's silent on Twitter right now. You hear no one. You don't hear any of your progressive politicians. So they've been beaten into submission, like always. So that's all that there is to know. Is that whenever in doubt, progressives are going to roll over because our leader, Bernie Sanders, rolled over first. So everyone else, including the squad, is going to roll over right behind him.
Yeah, Katie will jump on too. I think she has some issue. Let me see how it says jump on. Let me see, jump on Discord. Wait, so I don't think your Discord is working. We get this figured out. But yeah, my original point I was making right as you was hopping on. I don't know. I think you said you was waiting there for a while, but Booker could easily win his race. And someone in the chat was asking me about defund the police. And I'm like, Cori Bush won her deep blue area, and if you're in a deep blue area, you can run on that, and we can shift public perception that way by continuing. Like, so what's your argument for running against it if you're in an area where you can win on that? And if you're in the area and you want to represent your constituents, go ahead and represent your constituents the way you want to win your elections. But if you lose your elections and you see all the people that support Medicare for All win their election, how can you try to spin it the other way around? Because people saying, hey, I got to represent my constituents. Your constituents support Medicare for All. Your constituents support the Green New Deal. And that's why those candidates won, and that's why you lost. So I'm like, bro, you would have an argument if you was winning. They'll have these losers who lost their election. They'd be on MSNBC like the day after that, talking shit about the progressives. And I wish Ro Khanna was actually asked about this when he was on Jimmy Dore about why they don't oppose Pelosi more. And His argument simply because they don't have the firepower to do so. And thing is, the reason why we go hard against them is because I fundamentally disagree with that. You know what I mean? Because they say, well, it's only six of us, nothing we can do. I'm like, bro, you guys can shift the narrative in a way that you guys, I'm not sure you guys even understand, because AOC called out Rahm Emanuel a few days, I think last week she called him out. And then he started trending on Twitter. And now there was a giant conversation, and then it brought up a big debate. I'm like, so yeah, there's only six of you guys, but you guys are more popular than everyone else. You can have a Twitch stream that break records. Are you kidding me? And you don't say you trying to say you can't oppose Pelosi? It doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, but politics is old school innate, so you never know what goes behind back closed doors and back rooms and without the cameras on. So you can do all the dog and pony shows, pretending to be woke like the Democrats did with impeachment, trying to show that Donald Trump. But my point is that old school politics is Nancy Pelosi, she wants to be speaker, so she's gonna what? So I think my hope is progressives, what they did is saying, okay, Nancy, we want all the top dog committee assignments and be highly ranked members, because a lot of these congresswomen and men are second year, so they're going to have some rank seniority. So if the progressives actually, voted for Nancy, but then got some really higher up committee assignments, then I wouldn't bash them as hard. But you would think after you vote for her, you can say, hey, I'm on this committee. This is what I got. But they're not saying jack crap. So that's what scares me, is that they got beat into submission once again.
Yep, and this is something I'll say I was going to watch from the squad from the very beginning, because the first real test is to see how they're going to oppose Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party. And they've been fighting them on messaging. But I'm excited to see how Rashida Tlaib goes, because Rashida said her game plan is she's going to step it up against the centrist Democrats. So we see how far that actually goes. The problem Ro Khanna said they said there wasn't any options, because they didn't have no one that would even try to oppose Pelosi when she was trying to get elected House Speaker. So even if they wanted to vote against them, they had no option to vote for. So that just shows the problem with the Democratic Party and why it's going to be so. That's why I think it's a foolish endeavor to just try to reform the Democratic Party as your only approach, because the power forces are so in line with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer's and Jim Clyburn's that they keep winning these elections. It's 2020, and we have the same people that's been in charge for the last 30, 40 years. They're all 80 years old, late 70s. I'm not talking about their age in the sense I want to bash them. I'm talking about we can't get them out of power. So we got to find other ways to oppose the two-party duopoly other than just supporting Democratic Party down ballot and only throwing that as the only option. That's one of my theses. But what's your thoughts on that, bro?
Well, I agree with everything you're saying. I guess you're more optimistic than me, obviously. I'm a little more pessimistic because I take a lot of my political knowledge based on American history and American political history, and I kind of relate that today. And so when you look at the power structure historically in both Republican and Democratic parties, whoever controls the party are the centrists, known as the swing state, the swing district people in your party, because they're the ones who are the most vulnerable. So those are the people that really the leadership in the party are going to listen to. And for once, actually those center line Dems, those who are the most risk of losing their seats, they were actually listening progressives. Like mentioned before, Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, also the Green New Deal. When they signed on to that, they saved their seats. Those who didn't left. The disappointment is that the progressives should have used that leverage, saying, hey, the centrist Dems you care about, the so-called mainline Democrats that you care about, they're with us. So you're going to have to listen to us. That's where the party is going. What I've seen is that they've pushed the policies which are popular, but they didn't use the mainline or so-called centrist Dems as leverage to get their own power, because that's what the establishment does anyway. That's the messaging the establishment cares about. They say, oh, the centrist Dems, we have to care about them. So they use that against us all the time. But when we finally had the opportunity to use their same language, their same tactic against them, we didn't. So once again, you can push all the policies what you want. You just have to be better strategically.
There's a question. Do you think Nina Turner is going to run?
I think so. My main problem is that I love Nina Turner too. The issue is that Kamala is very polished but boring, and if Nina does come off extremely fiery, I think that would kind of backfire because it's the same way Bernie did against Biden in that debate right
Right.
when COVID started. Like Bernie was right about everything, but Kamala is going to learn from Joe how to just deflect everything, smile with the pearly whites, and basically get away with not answering valid questions. So, I mean, in a perfect world, Nina would win, but to me, if Nina runs her campaign like Brianna Joy Gray, David Sirota, all these other progressive heroes would have advised Bernie to do, if she does what they wanted to do, then she'll win. If she pulls a Bernie, then we're screwed. So I hope that answers your question. I'm not really sure if it does.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, the Democratic, and you made this point actually on my Twitter, actually, because you said you are very afraid of the Democratic media operatives and their ability to make superstars out of Democratic oligarchs of choice, like Kamala Harris. Like Kamala Harris right now, if she ran against Nina Turner as it was this primary, she would get crushed. Like she's deeply unpopular. I think it would be easily. I think that would be easy election victory for Nina Turner. But after her being for vice president for 4 years and with you see celebrities slobbering on her already, like doing propaganda for her constantly 24/7. So I'm worried now that Joe Biden won't beat Donald Trump, and even though it's easy to debunk and it's blatantly untrue, and we know it's untrue when they say that only Joe Biden and them will win, they're gonna repeat that narrative over and over and over again. And I wonder because there's a lot of dumb people that just keep watching cable news, and I wonder if they're gonna make Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg and Joe Biden and that crew hard to beat because they have the victory over Donald Trump in their back pocket. Charlie said, "Do you think Trump will attack Iran?" I think Iran is screwed no matter what because I covered this before during one of the debates. And the lead up to this election, I already seen the intelligence community and their goons planning media stories to get both parties hostile to Iran, no matter who wins this election. Obviously, the right wing always have their hawkish approach towards Iran, but the Democratic media operatives they had to be a little sneaky about it. So the story they planted, they said Russia, Iran, and Venezuela have been busted in election interference, and it was like sources say, one of them loosely sourced stories. And they asked Joe Biden this in the debate. One of the things that didn't get a lot of coverage. And they asked him, Joe Biden, what do you think about Venezuela, Russia, and Iran being reported to try and get involved in our elections? And he said, and I quote, Iran will pay. And the thing is, Sunrise Movement asked, they said, what's the one thing you want to see Joe Biden doing in the last 400 days? I'm like, man, I want to see him not bomb people. I want to see him end sanctions because sanctions is an act of war, in for my opinion. Because what happened in Iran is a humanitarian crisis. They have a giant. Their COVID situation is so bad because the U.S. sanctions on medicines down there, and they had a hard time containing the virus in Iran because of that. So I have no beef with the Iranian people. Like that's who's getting hurt. It's not the Iranian oligarchs. It's the Iranian people that have been hurt by these sanctions, and that you're gonna see that happen under Trump. You're gonna see that happen under Biden as well. And I think Trump is definitely gonna try and bomb him on the way out. But at the same time, you got the same intelligence.
Actually,
go ahead.
Actually, there was a report that came out the other day that the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo had to beg Donald Trump not to bomb the Iranian nuclear fields. So think about
How
Mike
crazy!
Pompeo.
That's so crazy because Mike Pompeo is ultra right wing. Like how is
Yeah,
he?
so
That's crazy. I didn't see
yeah,
that.
and so
I didn't see that. Good, thanks
and
for
so a lot
bringing
of
it
my
up.
friends in the leftist community, we basically said, man, if John Bolton would have knew about that, he would have nutted in his pants because he loves war. But when
It's funny
Mike
because
Pompeo,
Trump went against Bolton because Bolton was just slandering him. I like and that's another reason why I never understood people said Trump is anti-war because
well, Trump,
and people talking about
Trump,
Afghanistan. I did a short segment. I think I'll probably finish it later here soon about him trying to pull out of Afghanistan, but that's just a head fake because he's trying to escalate in Iran even more. But go ahead, RJ. I didn't mean to cut you off, bro.
Yeah, I mean the thing about Donald Trump though is he only does something unless one, he's threatened, or two, he's one, he's threatened, or the second part is he's told he's weak if he doesn't do something. Like for
Yeah,
instance, like
he
there's
get easily
plenty of time.
baited.
Yeah, he's easily baited. So like for instance, when John Bolton said, "Oh, Trump is like weak, keep not keeping us safe," what did he do? He killed Soleimani in Iran, right? Almost started another war, basically. And then now they're trying to say Trump is like too weak again, and now he almost threatened to bomb an entire nuclear field in Iran. So that's it. Trump is a weird figure. Like it's not new in American politics to have such a bipolar politician. Like I mean, the most bipolar politicians in American history, you could think of Lyndon Johnson, you can think of Reagan, you could think of. So it's not new. It's just you have to figure out, their tactical sense.
So Katie, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm glad you was able to join. I'm glad that link on Cindy worked. I'm glad you was able to join up with us. Like I said, we just vibe. I usually stream 3 p.m. Eastern. I appreciate everyone who's watching. This is my good friend Katie Jayne.
What's up?
You guys seen her a few times on here. She's one of my good friends, and I hope you're not too mad at me because I've been bashing your whole town of California for.
My God, it's
because I'm
out of control.
How you been doing? How you doing, Katie?
Doing pretty good. California's out of control. There's a lot of reasons to bash it. Newsom, did you see?
Yeah, I saw that.
He was.
Let me see if I can pull that up. I saw that.
It's getting weird over here. Our numbers. I'm in Los Angeles. Our numbers are going up. They're starting to impose kind of weird random restrictions. Like I think they're trying to close restaurants early, as if COVID doesn't strike after 10 p.m. So they're trying some weird things, and the numbers are definitely going up. And of course they're doing these Thanksgiving restrictions, and they're really making a big point about people limiting their Thanksgiving interactions. But Newsom was kind of caught.
They had. I'm gonna pull it up right here. I got this to work on Discord. I'm gonna share stream it so you guys can see it. But this is the story you was talking about, right?
Governor Newsom out at a fancy restaurant.
It was this one. Y'all see this? California Dr. Todd Brass attended French laundry dinner with Newsom.
French Laundry is like a very overpriced restaurant in San Francisco.
All these people are gangsters, man. I told you, they just do whatever they want. They don't worry about no one investigating them. They don't worry about no consequences to their actions. They just they inside a trade. Nancy Pelosi, she breaks her own lockdown ordinances to get her hair done. Like they don't care, bro. They're just gangsters in government. Let's see what they actually said. Because I read a story. Let's see what the actual. There was among guests at Newsom's top political operative birthday dinner. So pretty much they're just rubbing elbows.
They're basically they make rules for other people and then they don't follow them themselves.
And then the thing is, this is so stupid. This is why neoliberals suck at politics, because by doing this, they literally just gave the Republicans an unnecessary win for no reason, right? Because now the people who are super anti-lockdown, the first thing they're saying now, they say, see, these Democrat oligarchs, they are hypocrites, and for good reasons, right? For good reason, right? Because they are. But that's unnecessary.
The hypocrite word is a big one.
Yeah, that's an unnecessary L for them that they didn't need.
I mean, it's the same way when you see Dianne Feinstein in the Senate chamber with no mask on.
Yeah, they do that all the time. Yeah, they have no care in the world.
Hugging.
Yeah.
Hugging. You know.
So
it's nuts.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so COVID's definitely going up here in California, and
yeah, we're in deep shit over here. You seen the map, right?
Bad.
You seen the map, right? The COVID. They were talking about how in control the COVID virus was. And there were four categories. It was like uncontrollable spread, like barely controlled, doing decent, and then well controlled. Everything. the last one was uncontrollable. Let's see if I can find it. I want to see COVID spread map. But yeah, that's why I mean most people that follow my Twitter know that I'm going through like I'm lonely as fuck. That's why I'm like streaming every day now because I've been locked down for a while because
Basically.
I was exposed to COVID. I don't think I have it. It's been a week now and I don't show like any signs of it, and my brother doesn't have it. So like if I had it, I feel like my brother would have had it by now, or at least show something. I don't know. But my mom and my stepdad definitely have it. But
I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah. The good news is my mom has been about a week now. She says she's still feeling okay. My stepdad is kind of sick though, and we're kind of hoping it doesn't get worse than it is. But I need to talk to him today and see how that is. I'm trying to see if I can find an actual map that shows it. Dang, I'm looking at all the other maps, and all the other maps are crazy as it is too. the other maps do not help. Let's see. Let me pull this one up.
A lot of the maps are just like totally red.
What honestly, what date is this though?
Yeah.
Oh, dang, so that's too old. But yeah, cause I saw the number in my small town. I need to look at it what it is now, but it's probably higher because I saw a report that people were literally warning people. They was begging people to social distance. And people don't care out here. They just doing whatever they want.
Well, it's hard to tell Americans what to do. Clearly, as we see with the mask.
I try to be careful though because I don't want to blame them too much because that's almost a misdirection. Because if you actually look at the numbers, the vast majority, I think the number is like 1 out of 4 grocery workers have COVID. And then if you actually look at the raw numbers, there is the amount of people that are stupid who's partying, and that's the reason why they called it. But there are actually a very solid amount of people that call it just because they have to work. And that's why...
essential workers.
Yeah, that's why I try not to judge them. There are some people who catch it because they're stupid, but my mom and my stepdad, they did everything right. And that's why it's such a shitty situation because they've been terrified that they've been doing everything. Like the scientists been following like social distance. My mom had been lucky enough to work from home. My sister been working from home. My dad, my stepdad, he had a job where he came in, but he worked at home for the most part. But he only had to came in during crucial times. I think that's probably what he called it. But they did everything they could. And once again, I think he probably called it that way. And once again, that's a worker. He called it as a worker, and that's the situation we're in.
Essential workers. I live on a street that is essentially, it's all apartment buildings, and it's a lot of working class families, and there's been a lot of COVID deaths on this street.
Yikes.
It's kind of like the Italy situation where working class families usually have more family members per household, and they're working because they're essential, so they're being exposed a lot more. And those are the people that suffer.
How's it going for you over there, RJ? Like, have you been exposed to it, or you know a lot of people that have been exposed to it? If you're comfortable talking about that, because we've been doing our best to avoid it. We just hear alarm bells all around us until this moment because we were like, everyone over here got COVID, but we've been avoiding it. Now we finally got hit with it, and we're just hoping for the best. So how's everything going in your area? Have you been following that?
I mean, from Michigan, our governor is not afraid to shut stuff down. So you probably see her trending on Twitter once a week. So I mean, we still have high cases because most people. There's some people who can't help getting sick, and there's some people who we don't know who those people are. But in general, I have an aunt who died of COVID-19, and then
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. And she was in Connecticut, and then. As for everything else, I mean, I've had some family who have it, mostly young. They recovered, but I don't get it because I wear a mask wherever I go. So, but
that's a smart way to do it.
Yeah, I have asthma too, so that's not good.
That's definitely a smart way to do it. And my question for Democrats and Joe Biden is, now that you guys are taking over in terms of the executive branch, what's the plan in terms of getting this under control? Now we got this new wave coming out, and Democrats, they're not opposed to. I mean, a lot of the top leadership, they still want to keep the schools open. Joe Biden not looking to shut down anything, right? He said he's not looking to do any government shutdowns. And
one thing I will say is that the only way I'm for a shutdown is if we give small businesses money consistently, and with the stimulus checks consistently per month recurring. If we don't do that, then I'm not for it, because all the small pop businesses, people who were, and also people who work for them, they're going to be out of work. And also too, they're going to have to wait in what long lines. Like, you've seen what happened in Kentucky, where they only had one office, where people had to wait in line for like 8 hours just to apply for unemployment. And so we're going to see a scenario again where the bubble just is about to pop. Same thing with the CARES Act, where the corporate lobbyists say, hey, working people are so desperate. If we just give them crumbs, they're going to take it. We're going to run off with the bags of money behind the bank. So,
Yeah,
yeah, you
and
could tell I'm pretty.
the biggest thing I'm concerned about is the fact that Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell is in charge again, because Joe Biden is a big advocate of austerity, and him and Mitch McConnell, they have a long history of working with each other, especially in the 2008 crisis. With like Joe Biden was so complicit because Joe Biden was selected to be Joe Biden's vice president because even though Barack Obama was a moderate scum, he ran as
extreme.
a progressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden was supposed to be the moderate right winger, and they wouldn't know. He was known for being fiscally conservative, like that's like he's been that way he made his career from doing. And Barack Obama, this showed how complicit he was because he let Joe Biden be in charge of the budget negotiations with Mitch McConnell in the 2008 financial crisis. And then his negotiation with Mitch McConnell was so bad, you literally have senators like Steny Hoyer at the time that was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you just giving Republicans everything. Like, he gave them like $200 billion extra dollars for the corporate bailouts that they didn't even ask for. So this is his history working with Mitch McConnell and Republicans during financial crisis. He has the philosophy of austerity. And what we need to do, like, I agree with you with your point when you say you don't agree in shutdowns unless you have some sort of stimulus. And I'm like, man, we should follow the path of what you see now European countries, and you need to take a libertarian socialist point of view with this. We have 2,000 buck UBI monthly, and I think you can use that to help sustain the economy. You can use that to help boost local businesses, have a bailout for small businesses in the area, because the way they handled it now, you had all these bailouts that went to the top oligarchs, and you still had a giant majority of small businesses that is set to fail with how the bailout is now. So instead of spending that money, you spend that money on the small businesses that you actually need to thrive, and then you spend the rest of that money on the working class people, and those people spend, and then you revitalize the economy that way. And I think you can sustain this lockdown that way, because imagine if we had lockdowns. Imagine we had 2,000 monthly checks from the beginning of this crisis. How much better our economy would be doing. And this is the failure of trickle down economics. And this is something that Joe Biden and Barack Obama implemented in 2008. And I'm scared because he's going to do it again. He's going to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
He's already surrounded himself with Jamie Dimon, Rahm Emanuel's. Like he already had Larry Summers. Like these same people who was instrumental in leading our crisis in that direction. You have fossil fuel executives on his team. So that's what I'm worried about. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Yeah, COVID out.
And
Go ahead.
I kind of agree with Rome. We had Rome. I know you have Rome on for the Black Rose podcast a lot, and he's right.
Yeah,
in ways Biden is worse than Trump, because Trump himself, the only reason why he gave the stimulus, you vote for him. So they're going to give you something after you vote for him. Even if you do vote for him, they could say, well, austerity, all this BS. So there's no guarantees anyway.
Another thing I think is going to work against the left moving forward with Biden is that Biden is, coming into a pretty fucked situation here. There's a huge number of COVID deaths. There's the economy's in a very weird place. Small businesses are shutting down across the country, and Biden basically has 4 years to figure out how to make that not look like it was his fault, because 100% the economy and the America he inherits is going to be used against him in 4 years to propagate somebody worse.
Yep. All right. I do not predict good things for Democrats in 2022, especially now.
It's going to be Pete Buttigieg versus Tucker Carlson versus Ivanka Trump. It's going to be a nightmare.
Man, I'm very curious about this civil war that's going on in the Republican Party. It seems that's going to happen because it was trending on Twitter today where they said 50% of Republicans believe that the election was stolen from them. And obviously, the first takeaway from that is like, yo, that's crazy. Their party is extremely brainwashed, which is legit. That's a legit takeaway. But also, the other takeaway is 50% believe Donald Trump lost. And that
Also,
you understand that means 50. I'll let you go right there. Sorry, Kate. I'll let you go. But
no, you go.
the Republic. That means 50%. That the other number is bad. Don't get me wrong. But that means 50% of the Republicans is rejecting the messaging that comes out from Trump. And Fox News is openly rejecting the message because they're saying, "Oh, I think Trump lost it. I don't believe what they're saying." But go ahead, Kate. What were you about to say?
I was just going to say it would be the worst cheating in the world to go through all of the effort of cheating to have a neck and neck race where you lose the Senate.
Yeah.
It's the worst cheating I've ever seen.
Yep, and they reap what they sow because I mentioned this before. They lost the Senate directly because of Chuck Schumer, Amy McGrath, Nancy Pelosi, and you probably watched it in chat because I pulled it up where the Democratic insiders got really upset that they chose people like Amy McGrath, and that's why they lost those local races. And their strategy from the offset is the reason why that happened. Like, they want to blame progressives, but their strategy in investing in the Lincoln Project was an abject failure. Like, you can look at it by the numbers because the only thing that did was piss people off and have more Republicans vote for Trump. And at the same time, the demographic that worked on, they stayed Republican. So there was people that was voting for Biden that was voting for the Republican. Like, there was like Cara Eastman lost her race, and you had Democrats in close race, like and very close race across states that Biden did really well, but then Trump. But the Republican won like the local election. So you guys can blame progressive all you want, but that's because of your inherently bad strategy of trying to win over Republicans when all you did was empower Republicans' grassroots by abandoning your base, right?
Never going to play the same compromise that the left keeps playing for them. That's not what they do. They don't go, oh, okay, well, let's work with the left just to be fair. That never happens. The left constantly is catering to the right to be team players, but it doesn't go both ways. So the whole thing just keeps moving right.
I'm glad.
Well, I think there's like 5 factions in government right now. The culture right, which is the QAnon, super energetic MAGA. Then you have your regular. Then you have your people still to the right, but more principled MAGA people, like for instance that one Republican, Matt Gaetz, like his category. Then you have your corporate right voters and politicians, like the Tea Party, even 90s Gingrich. Then you have center left, like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. Then you have your cultural left, like some young progressives, some that'll bend the knee to Nancy Pelosi on cultural grounds. And then you have like us, like your more policy principled leftists. The problem is that the establishment is good at like pushing outward, but at the same time grabbing those cultural people in. Because even if you've seen, this election is heavily partisan. Like Trump was able to keep his energetic base in terms of the culture war. Same thing the Republicans and Democrats have done. While at the same time, those who are arguing for policy issues, you're either being forced to vote for whatever party you believe is closer to you, or you just you sit it out. But either way, it seems like politics to me has been shifting more about culture than actual policy. And in the end,
and that's by design.
They don't really come through with the policy anyway. But at least they would talk about it before. And nowadays, it's completely absent of policy at all.
Yep. And people underestimate how often politics can actually shift, because you brought up a good point about the different factions that exist now. I mean, if you look at the political landscape, it's completely different than when it was just in the early 2000s. If you look at it, I mean, you had the rise of the Tea Party on the right, you had the rise of the progressive left in the Democratic Party, and for a long time there was a media monopoly on information, and that's why I had my phase where I was a dumb lib for a long time, because I only had information come from one way. And that's why you even had Obama coming out like against the internet, and he was criticizing the internet because he pretty much been on the book tour, and the whole point of this book tour was to apologize for his failings as president. That's literally the only point of him writing these biographies, because he writes these biographies. He's on his 3rd one, by the way. It's like bro, how many autobiographies do you need? And the point of these biographies is to apologize and never ever accept blame for anything that went wrong for his presidency. And that's literally what the point of that is. But unfortunately, he got another win this time because now his boy Joe Biden is in office. But I want to see if I can find that quote I went over with Obama the other day because
while you're finding it, one thing I will say is that the problem is in our politics now is that I hear a lot of leftists, progressives, even liberals hate. Oh my gosh, how come the Republican Party is so blindly loyal to Trump? Oh my gosh, they're idiots. I'm like, can you look at yourself in the mirror? Do you see a lot of liberals love Obama, will listen to Obama on everything?
And there's nothing you can do to break their love for Obama as well.
Exactly.
There's nothing you can
So
say.
now you
Love Obama. I mean, I think there's almost like like an objectification of Obama even.
Yeah, there is. And there's people getting upset because Joe Biden is potentially talking about not pushing crimes on Donald Trump. But you guys gotta understand who set the precedent for that. Like Barack Obama and them didn't choose to go after George Bush. So they all part of the same team. And Barack Obama set that.
We're not
precedent.
on it.
Yep, we are definitely not on it.
I mean, it all started really in 1974 when Nixon resigned, Gerald Ford ascended to the presidency. I mean, Gerald Ford still today is the only president it's the only president really not to be elected. So like, he was appointed to the vice presidency after Spiro Agnew had to resign because of tax evasion. Then he rose to the presidency after Nixon resigned. And so from Gerald Ford on, it set the precedent, hey, you don't go after your predecessor. The reason why is because you want your successor to go after you. And so that's basically been the precedent. You know, Ford pardoned Nixon. And then Reagan never went after Carter. Clinton never went after...
Did Carter do anything, like, controversial?
He made some bad imperialist calls. I wish I can recite it on top of my head, but a lot of people make a mistake of thinking Jimmy Carter is like a peace president. He wasn't. He was not as bad as the other ones, but he did some imperial action. I don't want to misquote it. I might send it to you later, but I don't want to. Because I read it a long time ago. The base of the article, I can at least let you guys know what it was. Like Jimmy Carter's hands is not clean, and then they go over some of the decisions he made. I'm gonna let you guys know the premise. Cause I don't want to misstate
I believe it.
I'm gonna read it again and let you guys know. I'll send it to you. But he's not perfect. But overall he is better because he did have anti-imperialist actions he took. But he's not perfect. You don't have a clean slate. Just like Chomsky said, all the presidents. He said all. He didn't say except Carter. All of them.
Yeah.
And this is
according to the Nuremberg. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I said, I was going to speak on that Chomsky piece. Chomsky said, according to the Nuremberg laws, every president since really 1943 would be charged with war crimes and would be set to hang. So,
and why that's kind of funny how they don't listen to that regarding Chomsky. They always bring up Chomsky every 4 years to talk about Biden or who the Democratic nominee is, but they always ignore Chomsky when it comes to bringing up things like that, how all our presidents are criminals, and I always bring up how the fact, I'm like, bro, you guys are quoting Chomsky, but you guys are hiring Republicans. Chomsky said Republicans are the greatest evil in human history. Like Chomsky went farther than I actually went. I was like, I don't know. I think the Mongols are kind of up there. Nazis are kind of up there, but Chomsky, he was like, nah, they're the worst because they're responsible for climate change. Chomsky said anyone responsible for climate change, he ranks as the worst humans that ever lived because he says they're going to destroy humanity. He said even though the Nazis and Mongols killed a lot of people, at least they didn't destroy humanity. So that's his argument. So I'm like, why don't you listen to Chomsky on that? Meanwhile, Joe Biden got fossil fuels X that he's looking to hire on his cabinet. And that
won't ban fracking.
Yep. So I'm like, Chomsky, I'm actually listening to you, bro, because that's your position. Your position was anyone who doesn't take climate change seriously is the most dangerous humans that ever lived. And I'm talking about Joe Biden. So I'm not gonna fight. I got a lot of respect for Chomsky. I don't agree with him all the time, But I respect people that does what he do. But I don't have to agree with you all the time. But when you listen to stuff you
That
say
would
about
be
go ahead.
that would be cult-like.
Yeah, exactly. So like when you hear him talk about climate change and when you see that he don't hold back like that, like, I don't understand the disconnect. 'Cause he can say that, but then he's like, "Oh, we gotta vote for him." Like, bro, you just said you just said they're evil, bro. But I disagree with how your voting patterns is, but I listen to you. I'll at least listen to you, and I'll show you the respect to disagree with you. Because there's some people like I'm not even gonna bother to even listen to you. Like, so at least I give you the respect that I'm even gonna try to debunk you. Right? That's how I feel. That's how I feel about it. Go ahead, RJ.
I mean, a lot of these figures, like for instance, I put Chomsky, Michael Moore, like they don't really relate at all in terms of content, but they do relate in terms of how they reach their politics. Like when it was popular for Michael Moore to be progressive, he aligned with Bernie, he aligned with leftists. Now that it's popular to be a shit lib and simp for Biden and Harris, that's what he's doing now. And I feel like even Chomsky at times, like he was telling us, right after BLM and stuff, hey, you got to suck it up and vote for Biden. If you don't vote for Biden over Trump, there's something wrong with you, and don't believe, that nothing's going to change. He was really the architect. He was the one who created this argument of lesser of two evilism, actually not even lesser of two evilism, harm reduction. So remember that video of Chomsky that came out? Every shit lib on Twitter basically like leftists, you listen to Chomsky, and I'm like,
Yep.
what about all the other stuff that he said?
Right. There's only one celebrity that has just said, fuck it, I don't care if everybody hates me, and that's Susan Sarandon.
Yeah. She was probably one of my most cherished follows I got. Like when I got Susan,
She's amazing.
Like thank God, because she's probably the only celebrity that haven't been disappointing. Because there's so many celebrities I like before I got on Twitter, and Twitter ruined everyone for me. Twitter ruined everyone for me. I already didn't like celebrities, but I did a good job at ignoring celebrity culture for the most part. Like I was good at. If I like someone because of your music, or if I liked you because you make movies, I did a really good job at only focusing on that. Like I don't want to know anything about. I don't even want to hear you do interviews, and that's just me. I guess you can call me a grouchy old man, but I
think it's good actually. I think that like your views towards celebrities and the effect that Twitter has had on you is part of like a cultural shift towards hopefully not idolizing strangers just because they're in a movie you like or whatever. You know what I mean? Because like we definitely that's definitely been a part of the problem in politics and just in our culture on a mass scale. And I think that, you touch on this thing where now that they're more accessible to us through Twitter and Instagram, we're going like, oh, you're actually just like a person with shitty views who like acts for a living or whatever. And yeah, I think it's good. I think we're like starting to tune out their opinions and not care as much on a larger level, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely so nice when you see a lot more of these celebrities when they do say some stuff that is like not factual and completely rude. Like I love a good ratio, so at least we have those going now where people really call them out. Like one Kiki Palmer, who calls herself the Millennial Diva, she had a tweet a couple days ago which was very, very controversial. She was basically saying that she made a comment about like EBT and people who don't buy healthy food, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like you're supposed to be the Millennial Diva, you should know about that. And one of my favorite quotes from Susan Sarandon, because she's so great, is that in 2016, when like apparently if you're a woman, you're supposed to just hand the vote to Hillary. She said, just because I have a vagina doesn't mean I'm supposed to vote for Hillary Clinton. I thought that was so badass, because like
she's
think
badass.
With your brain, think with like how you believe the world should be. Like don't someone just because you're black or you're a woman or you have a vagina or whatever.
And we always celebrate people who like. At the end of somebody's life, I always like joke that like, when we lose Bernie Sanders, all these people are going to be like, I supported him. He was so great. He stuck to his guns. When we love to look back and celebrate people for not just following the crowd and not just, bending the knee. But then when people are in the act of trying to have integrity, trying to stand by their morals and not vote for this guy because they believe they're anti-imperialist and they're pro-environment. People don't celebrate you. They condemn you and they judge you. And, you know, Susan Sarandon's in the act of currently having integrity and trying to live a life that aligns with her morals, and she just gets shit on so much for it.
And the thing is, I respect Susan. I respect Susan Sarandon as like kind of an activist too, because that's kind of how anti-celebrity I am. Because I don't really know that much about her as an actress, that much really. And I've been pleasantly surprised because I never been someone who got starstruck or anything like that. Like even when I met the celebrities I have met, I was kind of like, oh, okay, I don't feel anything. Like even times I meet people I had a lot of respect for, because I remember when I met Tosi and when I met Nina and when I was in South Carolina, I meet a lot of these people, and I kind of met them. I'm like, okay, it's kind of, he just felt normal to me. I never understood like the session a lot of people had that but I still see it kind of on the left too. To be honest,
oh yeah,
I see it when people get mad at me when I go after AOC or Bernie, and I don't apologize for it. Kind of like, you guys gotta squash that shit. You should, wherever that is, when you guys get mad at real criticism, and Toasty people were guilty of it too. Wherever that is that you guys have that make your blood boil when you hear criticism of someone, whether it's legit or not, you need to kill that. Go ahead, RJ.
And so, like, during like the presidential primaries in the future, like, it's important really to draw distinctions and really to go all out war really with inside your own party, with inside your own constituency that you match, because iron sharpens iron. So if you hash out all your differences early, the other side, the Republicans, can't use it against you. And so I guess my main point is that after what's all said and done, which is now, like for instance, when Chelsea Handler came out with, she's a liberal, staunch liberal. I mean, we probably don't agree much on anything, but one thing she did is she created like this film on Netflix, you know, her apology tour where she used to be friends and she used to date a black guy back when she was a teenager, and you know, he got caught with drugs. The cop let her go, but put him in prison for like 20 years. And so she did an entire documentary on white privilege. I thought that was amazing, because if you're a liberal and you could change the mindset of your liberal constituency, you can unlock that area and make it accessible for other regions on the left. And so I feel like my mission right now isn't to bring people to the left where I am, is to basically push them left where they are, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Because that way, when you put it all together, it's not seem like it's left versus right. You're actually moving it together. So like, I think me and Nick, we had a conversation Monday too about electoral politics. Like, if you live in a red state, like, don't run as a Democrat, run as a Republican, see what it does. You could possibly move the Republican to the left from the inside, because I can guarantee you that Republicans move the Democratic Party to the right from the inside, which is they're doing right now with John Kasich. Now it's Republicans in the Democratic Party. So as many leftists, we have to get strategically smart and understand the groundwork which is coming on.
And that's why I've been so actively opposed to Democrats. People ask me, like, why are you so opposed to the Democratic Party? I'm opposed to the Democratic Party because I'm looking at my area that is ruled by black neoliberals. I'm not being ruled by right-wing Republicans. I'm being ruled by right-wing Democrats. And just like Katie and a lot of my other friends in California, I talk to them, they've been ruled by Gavin Newsom and their band of neoliberals that are unstoppable. So it's always funny to me how people always say, oh, you guys don't know nothing about politics. Like, no, I'm the one who's serious about politics, because I'm focusing on my local area. I'm focusing on the people that I have to challenge and people that I have to push. So I don't understand people who just focus, like, there's people that, I guess it helps for your clicks and shit, I guess, when you just only focus on Republicans and shit. Like, all right, what are your issues that you're focused on? Because you know who did stop Medicare for all? It wasn't Trump. It was Barack Obama. Yeah. It was Joe Biden. You gotta know your enemy. My thing is, like, Trump isn't better than them. Republicans not better than them. They're the same, and people get twisted too. And then because some people go too far the other way, it was like, well, I'd rather Trump win because blah. Like, oh no, I don't agree with that, bro. Because Trump, my argument is Biden is just like Trump. Not that Trump is better, but go ahead, Katie.
Yeah,
I think what you gonna say?
I was gonna say that, you know, you talk about like the blue states, and I think that the lack of the inability of the left to critique Democrats rightfully, and this fear and this vote blue no matter who, and they're so trying to stay so unified, it's actually worked against them a great deal in this particular election, because the Democrat-run states were brought up every time you said something about, oh, conservatives this, Trump this. They said that shit all happened in Democrat cities. Yep. That was their biggest
and that's why the Gavin Newsom story is so devastating, because now they can say once again, they're like, well, how you guys oppose all these mandates on us when you guys not following it? And that's why they are so weak against Republicans. Because how can you challenge the right wing when you do the same thing they're doing? Because one of the things people don't understand, I flip a lot of conservatives, a lot of people that like Trump, by something that a lot of Democratic insiders would never ever consider. I actually use foreign policy, believe it or not. Like, I remember I talked to someone who was right wing leaning, and I just explained how we spend so much money on the goddamn military and all these wars, and you can literally start twist them over that way. You can start winning. Or there are people who don't really care about politics. And I was canvassing in South Carolina, like literally talking to ordinary people, like, yo, Bernie Sanders actually wanted to decrease the military budget, end the wars. You know how much that was? And they were like, yeah, that'd be dope. Like average people actually for stuff like that. And that's why it's so important to actually shift the Overton window to the left by having these campaigns. That's why I told A1, run. Because you know what happens when you run? Like I said, I may have beef with Andrew Yang or Tulsi, but Andrew Yang was 100% successful in shifting public perception on UBI. I don't agree with the UBI. I don't agree with Andrew Yang on everything. But that's an undeniable fact. You can't deny that.
He brought it into the conversation.
Yeah, because I think the support doubled. I'm gonna see if I can find an article real quick. But I think the support for UBI literally doubled after Andrew Yang. And then, go ahead.
Well, yeah, when your own country shuts down your business, won't give you money, and then your people are hungry. So what do you expect? I mean, we as the leftists, this is our moment right now. We haven't seen a moment like this since 1933. Because in the 1933, we had the same situation. Over 50% of businesses were closed. Millions of people were starving, going to food banks. I mean, there was a story about a family that was in a rural area. One mom ran out of food, so she had to kill the family pet, which was a dog, cook it on the stove, and feed it to her kids. Damn. So if we don't want to get in a situation like that, we really have to work hard.
Yeah, and then we kind of are. We almost are at that point, and that's the funny thing about the Joe Biden administration, because it's only gonna get worse under you guys. I hope you guys understand that. And actually, let me share this. I wanted to talk about this too, because this is what Biden and his team is gonna inherit. Because there's all this talk about the election, but after the election, you got unemployment program for 4 million people that gonna expire. You're gonna have protection for student borrowers, renter in. AC at the Supreme Court, which we already lost. Government shutdown that may be end December 11th. Good luck with that. Now Republicans got the Senate. 40% of restaurants, 66% of hotels face closure, and 1 million travel jobs at risk. On top of the homelessness crisis and the peak of the winter, and you have millions and millions of job loss. So good luck with your austerity politics. So
and there's two things I want to comment. The two very, very distinct differences between Obama and Trump is two things: the rent foreclosure and the student loan stoppage. Yep. Obama didn't do either of those things 10 years ago. I mean, kicked millions of people out of the house. Think about this: Donald Trump, egotistical, fascist, racist, right? This dude puts down and by the way, he's not doing it because it's the kindness of his heart. So any viewers who are watching this know I'm not saying that. I'm saying he was politically smart enough not to create an enemy of the people who already hate him, and make sure the people who support him come out to vote for him by not kicking them out of their effing house. So and if you wonder why the Democrats got wiped out in 2010 and 2014, well, maybe you shouldn't kick people out of their house, render them poor and homeless and hungry. Maybe you shouldn't do that. That's why Franklin Roosevelt, after the Great Depression, he gave people food, he gave them a job, he gave them a house. He created public works projects to inflate the economy with funds. He also made sure when the economy was bad, you create reforms so when it goes up again, it stays up. It didn't crash down like a sine and cosine curve every time. And so that's what I think people should start realizing is learn about American history, learn about American political history, study the time period between 1933 and 1990. Okay, that's a very crucial time period in American politics.
And that's the kind of information that we talk about on our show. I mean, I critique trickle-down economics to its core. We talk about the actual history and the actual results of capitalism. The system that crashed 2 times before I turned 30. 2 times before I turned 30, capitalism crashed. You want to kind of apologize for it? So, if you want to continue to get this kind of content, please subscribe. We did about an hour and a half. We had a good time here. I want to keep these daily streams about 90 minutes. You guys know Katie Jayne and RJ here. You're gonna see a lot more of them because once again, now I got my setup here. I'm able to do this much more often. I can, like before, I told you all the time I didn't stream at home because I had shitty internet, but now I help upgrade my internet a little bit so I can hopefully maintain these streams. So I'm glad that this stream went pretty smooth, and hope you guys had a good time. Anything
Great
you guys
time. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, is there anything you guys want to plug first before I log? I don't want to show you guys. I'll leave all your information in the description, obviously. But anything you guys want to send us off with?
Follow me on Twitter. I don't have shit going on for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I feel you. I appreciate having you on, Katie.